The CEFAA, the Chilean government agency which investigates UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomenon, has declassified and released never-before-seen video from 2014 showing a mysterious flying object of which they suggest could have been a UFO. According to a press release from the agency, a Navy helicopter spotted the unidentifiable object while patrolling a coastal region near Santiago, Chile. The unknown object was seen flying at a constant speed, similar to that of the helicopter, and moving forward. The pilot tried several times to communicate with the object, but he received no reply. Air traffic control failed to detect any flying objects on radar. In 2 instances, the object ejected some type of gas or liquid with high thermal tracking. Captured on video, you can see a massive plume of material trailing behind the object. Moments later, a second ejection of the unspecified discharge. The flying object was visible for about 10 minutes before disappearing into the clouds without a trace. What could it be? Was it a UFO? Air Force photo analysts confirmed that the 3-dimensional object was real, with volume and showcased control in its movements. They established that there was no evidence of hoaxing or alteration of the video by any computer application in the editing and processing of the images. Officials also ruled out a bird or flying insect, a drone, parachute, or a hang glider. After an extensive study, the Committee for the Study of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena agreed it had all the characteristics to be classified as an unidentified aerial phenomenon.
On Monday, an asteroid, roughly the size of the one that blew out windows across a Russian city when it impacted with the atmosphere in 2013, buzzed Earth Monday morning. Asteroid 2017 AG-13 just narrowly missed the Earth by only half the distance between the Earth and the Moon at 4:47 a.m. The close flyby occurred only days after scientists at the Catalina Sky Survey first discovered the space rock on Saturday. According to scientists, the asteroid was not big enough to cause an extinction-level event, but warned that if it had entered the atmosphere near a populated area, there might have been damage similar to the aforementioned Chelyabinsk event.
She opened the door, and the 2 cars fell right in the hole. Immediately.
Saw it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And the guy yelled at the other guy, "Move the truck!"
I saw a picture of the cars, and I went, "Oh my gosh!" My girlfriend Mary looked next to me, and she sat up and went, "That's your car!"
When we arrived on the scene, as we got our truck on the street, our crew was walking down the street and the street actually collapsed.
It's terrifying. I mean, we walk there, we park there, we do, like it's crazy how little infrastructure there is in our infrastructure.
I don't think the infrastructure has been updated for such a long time, and all the new construction that's going on, I don't think it can handle it.
Well, now Fox Extreme weather alert. Thousands left without power and many roads impassable in parts of California and western Nevada after heavy rain caused widespread flooding there.
More than 1,000 people have been told to evacuate their homes in Reno, Nevada, as the area deals with torrential winter floods. Heavy rain, wind, and snow are all hitting Northern California and the Sierra Nevada. Relatively mild temperatures are melting newly fallen snow, adding to the floods and sending rivers over their banks.
It's crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It wasn't this bad. The street, I never saw it do this.
Snowfall could reach 15 inches in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada. Mudslides shut down at least 2 major highways. This weather system is expected to move east early Monday before a second storm reaches the region on Monday night. The rain and wind are also hammering San Francisco, where trees came down on city streets. The scaffolding fell off at least one building.
We heard boom, boom on top of us. What the heck's that going on? Next thing we know, we see the wood in front of us falling down.
Freezing rain is the big problem around Portland, Oregon. A number of crashes were reported on icy highways statewide. Falling trees and power outages are also a concern.
We're really at the mercy of Mother Nature and what she does to the trees and the branches, and so far it hasn't been terrible.
Well, Michelle, here's where the water line of the Russian River stands now. I'm in knee-deep water, but the water continues about 50 or 60 yards away from where I'm standing. That's just over there where those signs are. That's the beginning of the Johnson's Beach parking lot. So a lot of flooding in this area, and it is supposed to crest at about 35 to 36 feet at 2 this afternoon. This is just one of the areas that's seeing some damage.
All right, Jackie, thank you. Take a look at this. Strong winds toppled this tree known for its iconic tunnel, a famed tourist attraction, the historic Pioneer Cabin tree. A woman had just snapped a photo inside before it fell. The tree was hollowed out in the 1880s to allow tourists to pass through it and even allowed cars. Crews around the Bay Area are trying to clear several mudslides after the big weekend storm.
Chopper 5 caught this mess in the Southeast Bay. Traffic at a standstill this morning after another mudslide shut down Niles Canyon Road between Fremont and Sunol. That is part of State Highway 84. This video from the CHP shows Highway 17 in the Santa Cruz Mountains after another mudslide brought down a telephone pole at Vine Hill Road, trapping a news photographer in his totaled van and sending him to the hospital. And Silvis Crossing in Gilroy was completely underwater this morning. This is video posted to the Gilroy Police Department's Facebook page.
Water has invaded hundreds of thousands of homes and farms in southern Thailand, but some people refuse to leave. Prapensi Yusawan says this flood is nothing unusual. She's quite happy to stay put and look after her home and her chickens.
I decided to stay home because it's not too dangerous and we can still live here. And we really don't know where to go. If it's not too dangerous, people will stay home.
But others say this is far worse than anything they've seen in decades. Those who haven't gone to evacuation centres are being given food and medical supplies handed out on dry land wherever aid workers can find it. Thailand's military government has also deployed troops to help with rescue and recovery and the delivery of aid to communities cut off by the floodwater. People in southern Thailand may be used to flooding as they are in some other parts of the country, but this is the second time their homes have been inundated in just over a month. Huge swathes of land are underwater, making it difficult to imagine the drought that struck this part of Thailand just a few months ago. It's estimated around 1 million people are affected.
This is the worst flood in the last 40 years for southern Thailand, because we have been hit twice within a month. The first was in early December, and the second one started last week. Heavy downpours have caused flash floods and increased water levels in the city, and it's worse in lowland areas.
Conditions are expected to ease in the coming days, but there's still a danger of more flash flooding and landslides. Prapensi says she has no plans to leave and will continue her daily routines as much as she can, including a prayer at a small spirit house, which she's used to seeing partially submerged, but she still hopes for a time when the floods don't come. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Thailand.
4 Israeli soldiers have been killed after a truck rammed into them in occupied East Jerusalem. Police say the driver is Palestinian and was shot by security forces. The truck hit the group of soldiers as they were getting off a nearby bus. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says signs suggest the truck driver was an ISIL supporter. Well, it all took place on the popular Armon Hanatziv promenade overlooking the walled Old City of Jerusalem. Security has been heightened throughout the city in response. Bernard Smith brings us this update now from the scene in occupied East Jerusalem.
The last of the police and the last of the forensics have left and the truck towed away. But earlier on this afternoon, a group of young conscripts, amongst hundreds, had arrived here. It's a promenade that overlooks the old city of Jerusalem. They'd arrived here for part of their education, part of their training when they're conscripts, to learn about the history of the area. And it seems that a truck driver driving a large truck with a big crane on the top of it ploughed into a group of these soldiers. One of the first medics on the scene says that 10 of them were trapped underneath the truck, and we now know that 4 of those young soldiers were killed, 3 women and 1 man. What had happened was they just got off one of the coaches that they were on, and as they got off the coach, it seems the driver was not far behind, and the Palestinian driver of this truck was not far behind, and that's when he rammed into them. The driver is from East Jerusalem, We understand that he was also killed at the scene by other members of the military or the police. We saw the bullet holes in the windscreen of his vehicle as that was towed away. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, along with Israel's Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, came to the scene, and subsequent to that, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's said that he believes that the driver was a supporter of ISIL. There have been attacks like this in Israel before. There have been attacks in the last year or so where perhaps a vehicle has rammed people are waiting at a tram stop, or people have attacked soldiers with knives. But this is a really very large-scale attack, really, if you like, in compared to ones before.
Breaking news first at noon. 2 Jewish community centers in South Florida have been evacuated because of a bomb threat. CBS 4's Peter Dench just arrived at one of the JCCs impacted. This is the one in Southwest Miami-Dade. And Peter, what have you learned?
Well, Elliot, we can tell you, first off, there's some very tense moments here with dozens of parents rushing to the scene here. We are live near the site at Southwest 115th Street and 112th Avenue. Let's take a look at some pictures from Chopper 4. This is where there were evacuations of children here because of a bomb threat. Also because of that, we're being kept away from the site, but sources are telling CBS 4 that this is not the only Jewish community center that got a call about a threat. Taking a look at other videotape from Chopper 4, we can tell you there are reports of another call coming into the Jewish community center at 4221 Pine Tree Drive in Miami Beach. We're told 300 children there at least have been evacuated, with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue and Miami-Dade Police at the scene.
As a way of opening its doors to more recruits, the U.S. Air Force is changing its tattoo restrictions. Previous rules required that tattoos cover no more than 25% of a body part, and they couldn't be visible when wearing a uniform. Air Force Secretary Deborah Lee James said the new rules will allow more members to serve without compromising quality. These rule changes come about 6 months after the Marines made similar revisions to their tattoo policy.
Well, your tax dollars now being used to fund a sex change operation for a convicted murderer in California. That inmate, named Shiloh Heavenly Queen, shot and killed a man in Los Angeles before stealing his car in a drug and alcohol-fueled rampage. Officials say the inmate's surgery could cost upwards of $100,000. Breaking right now, Iran provoking our Navy yet again. Defense officials telling Reuters just moments ago that 3 warning shots were fired at 4 Iranian ships yesterday. The ships were closing in at our vessels on a high rate of speed in the Strait of Hormuz, did not slow down despite radio warnings and flares. This comes nearly a year after Iran forced our sailors to their knees and took them hostage.
Senior U.S. defense official tells me the USS Mahan fired the warning shots at 8 a.m. local time on Sunday. The U.S. Navy destroyer was escorting 2 U.S. warships into the Strait of Hormuz, a Marine amphibious landing ship with 1,000 Marines on board, and a Navy oil tanker. That's when 4 Iranian swarm boats got within 900 yards of the American vessels. The U.S. destroyer demanded the Iranian boats halt, blaring its horn and then firing off 3 warning shots. In the past few days, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps has been conducting an annual exercise in the Strait of Hormuz, simulating maneuvers needed to shut down the entrance to the Gulf, where much of the world's oil passes each day. That exercise, I'm told, is ongoing, Bill.
It's been a constant issue as to whether or not we have enough, a Navy carrier in the region, a U.S. Navy carrier. Is there one in the Gulf right now, Jennifer?
Well, actually, no. We were among the first to report on what the Navy calls a carrier gap. Fox News visited the USS George H.W. Bush late last year as it prepared to leave Norfolk, Virginia. The carrier was delayed in the shipyards by 6 months due to sequestration budget cuts. Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia, wrote to the head of the Navy last week demanding answers. Quote, "The absence of an aircraft carrier not only harms our force projection capabilities and limits some of our military's flexibility to quickly respond to any number of unforeseen events that may arise." President-elect Trump's nominee for Defense Secretary, a retired Marine General, James Mattis, an Iran hawk, has his confirmation hearing on Thursday before the Senate Armed Services Committee. He is likely to be asked, Bill, what he will do about the carrier gap and recent Iranian provocations. The number of dangerous Iranian interactions with the U.S. Navy doubled in the first half of 2016 from the year before.
United States Secretary of State John Kerry on Monday apologized to hundreds of State Department employees who were fired after the start of the Cold War for being gay in what is known as the Lavender Scare. Kerry added, "On behalf of the department, I apologize to those who were impacted by the practices of the past and reaffirmed the department's steadfast commitment to diversity and inclusion for all our employees, including members of the LGBT community." United States Senator Ben Cardin said he intended to remedy this injustice by introducing legislation to acknowledge the Lavender Scare years and offer an apology on behalf of Congress as well.
Fighting to protect LGBT employees in Cape Coral. Good evening, I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. A city councilwoman wants to grant equal rights to anybody who applies for a job with the city, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. New at 6, NBC2's Jesse Pagan spoke with one woman who says her wife spent years afraid she would lose her job for being gay.
Kelly, that woman tells me a change like this one would have made her wife's life easier at work, where she would have worked without fear of being outed. However, some still say there's no need for a change like this.
We do need something like this. We do need this.
Arlene Goldberg's passion for change comes from life experience. Her wife, Carol, worked for Lee County for 17 years.
She was very much in the closet, knowing that she was not protected if somebody should say that she was gay or if somebody would harass her.
Carol has since passed, but Goldberg's fight for equality is ongoing, a fight made easier now that Cape Coral could be joining in. Councilwoman Jessica Cosden introducing protection for LGBT city employees.
They have that there to protect them. Otherwise, who's there to protect them?
Cosden wants to amend the existing ordinance protecting employees, present and future, from discrimination based on race, religion, and other factors to also prohibit it based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression.
They're no different than we are. I think they deserve those rights to protect them.
This introduction comes months after Cape Coral's low score on the Human Rights Campaign's Quality of Life survey and bouts with pro-LGBT ordinances passing and failing in the city. Some we talked with today don't see the need for laws like these, but others say they could change lives.
Had this been in place while Carol was alive, it would have been a whole lot easier for her to work and not be afraid.
Let's go to Amy with today's other top headlines. You got a security incident at O'Hare.
That's right, guys. A man is under arrest now after breaching a security checkpoint at O'Hare Airport. Authorities say he tried to get on a Spirit Airlines flight without a boarding pass and then attacked 2 police officers and 2 TSA agents. He's now undergoing a psychiatric evaluation. And a new threat from North Korea. Kim Jong-un's regime is claiming it could conduct its first test of an intercontinental missile anytime and anywhere. Defense Secretary Ash Carter says any missile fired toward the U.S. or an ally will be shot down.
And we begin with the urgent scene unfolding in Orlando at this hour. Authorities say there is a desperate manhunt for a cop killer. A veteran police officer, a mother. She was trying to apprehend him at a Walmart. Investigators say he shot and killed her. Master Sergeant Deborah Clayton, 17 years on the force, beloved by her community. Her fellow officers standing in salute as her coffin was taken from the hospital. And we would also learn a second officer was killed in the hunt for the killer. Tonight, the reward, a community on edge and schools on lockdown. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is on the scene.
Tonight, a massive manhunt. Police going door to door at this apartment complex, searching for the man police say gunned down one of Orlando's finest.
We're going to bring this dirtbag to justice.
Just after 7 a.m., Master Sergeant Deborah Clayton, a 17-year veteran, is on duty outside this Walmart when someone alerts her that a wanted murder suspect named Markeith Lloyd is in the store.
There was a short foot pursuit, and as soon as she said stop, he basically opened fire.
He had a security vest on and everything. I heard her tell him to stop or whatever. He shot her. He shot her down, and he took off running.
29 District 3, we have one officer shot en route to Orm.
Clayton later dying at the hospital, the suspect getting away, firing on one deputy's car, carjacking another. Another deputy killed in a motorcycle crash while searching for the suspect. Schools put on lockdown as SWAT teams swarmed that apartment complex. Police scouring Lloyd's Facebook page for clues after he was suspected in the shooting death of his pregnant girlfriend last month, posting this 2 weeks earlier, goals to be on America's Most Wanted.
Markeith Lloyd needs to turn himself in. Not tonight, not tomorrow. He needs to call and turn himself in now.
Tonight, fellow officers are remembering Sergeant Deborah Clayton as a wife, a mother to a teenage son, and a tireless advocate for her community.
I've personally known Deborah for 17 years. Deborah Clayton is a hero, and she gave her life protecting the community that she loves. She will be deeply missed.
And Eva Pilgrim with us live tonight. Eva, I know authorities were asking the local news media not to carry aerial images as they were going door to door, not to tip off this guy. In the meantime, they're asking the community for help.
That's right, David. Police urgently wanting to find this guy. They're offering a $60,000 reward. Lloyd had a lengthy, violent criminal history. Police want this guy off the streets, David.